There is an ocean of everything you want: success, power, and the most satisfying relationships. It's all available and waiting for you. This is The Zone of Action with your host, Gerald Action Jackson.
Today, the subject of this podcast is the cost of misalignment in modern relationships. The cost of misalignment in modern relationships. When good people struggle. Most relationship problems in America do not start with betrayal, abuse, or dramatic blow-ups. They start quietly. They start with two well-meaning people who are fundamentally misaligned and do not know how to talk about it. That misalignment, when combined with weak communication habits, is the number one reason relationships struggle, stagnate, and eventually fail. This is not about blame. It is about awareness. People often assume relationships fail because someone changed. In reality, most people do not change as much as we think. What changes is our tolerance for living with unspoken disappointment. The core issue is this. Many relationships are built on attraction, convenience, timing, or chemistry, not alignment. When life applies pressure, those foundations are not strong enough to hold. Let's unpack what this really means, why it happens so often, how to fix it if you are already in a relationship, and what to look for if you are starting a new one. Understanding misalignment alignment is not about liking the same music, enjoying the same food, or watching the same shows. Those things are surface level compatibility. Alignment lives much deeper. Alignment means you share similar values around effort, communication, growth, money, time, family, boundaries, and emotional responsibility. Two people can love each other deeply and still be misaligned. Misalignment shows up when one person believes love means consistency and follow through, while the other believes love means freedom and flexibility. It shows up when one person sees money as a tool for security and growth, while the other sees money as something to enjoy impulsively. It shows up when one person values direct communication, while the other avoids uncomfortable conversations. None of these people are wrong. They are simply different. Problems arise when those differences are never acknowledged, discussed, or respected. Why misalignment is so common in America, there are several cultural reasons this happens so frequently. First, many people are taught to pursue relationships based on feeling rather than function. Movies, music, and social media highlight passion and chemistry, but rarely show alignment in action. Attraction gets celebrated. Compatibility gets ignored. Second, many adults never learned how to communicate clearly. They grew up in households where conflict was avoided. Emotions were suppressed or arguments escalated without resolution. As a result, they enter adult relationships without the skills needed to navigate disagreement. Third, there is a strong belief that love should be effortless. When effort is required, people assume something is wrong rather than understanding that effort is part of building something meaningful. Fourth, technology has created constant distraction. Many couples spend time together while mentally elsewhere. That erodes emotional intimacy and prevents real conversations from happening. Finally, many people enter relationships hoping the other person will change over time. This is one of the most damaging assumptions in modern relationships. Why communication breaks down? Communication is not just about talking. It is about being understood. Most communication breakdowns happen because people speak from emotion, but listen from ego. They listen to defend rather than to understand. Another issue is timing. Important conversations get postponed because people do not want to disrupt the moment. Over time, those postponed conversations pile up. Eventually, they come out sideways through sarcasm, withdrawal, or resentment. There is also fear. Fear of being judged, fear of being rejected, fear of being seen as difficult. So people stay silent and hope their partner will just get it. Hope is not a strategy. 5 clear signs you are misaligned. Misalignment does not usually announce itself loudly. It shows up in patterns. Here are 5 strong indicators that 2 people are not aligned. 1, you keep having the same argument with no resolution. If the same issues resurface over and over with no meaningful change, that is not a communication problem. That is a values problem. You are not disagreeing on the solution. You are disagreeing on what matters. 2, one person is doing most of the emotional labor. If one partner is always initiating conversations, planning, checking in, and repairing conflict, the relationship is unbalanced. Over time, that creates exhaustion and resentment. 3, you feel unheard even when you are listened to. This happens when someone listens but does not integrate what you are saying. They hear the words, but do not adjust their behavior. Feeling unheard repeatedly is a sign of misalignment, not impatience. 4, your growth paths are moving in different directions. Growth does not have to look identical, but it must be compatible. If one person is focused on growth, stability, and long-term thinking, while the other is comfortable staying the same, friction is inevitable. 5, you avoid being fully honest to keep the peace. When you start editing yourself to avoid conflict, intimacy erodes. Peace built on silence is not peace. It is emotional debt. Why people stay despite misalignment. Many people recognize misalignment but stay anyway. They stay because of history. They stay because of comfort. They stay because of shared finances, children, or fear of starting over. They stay because they believe loyalty means endurance rather than mutual fulfillment. Staying is not inherently wrong, but staying without addressing misalignment guarantees frustration. How to fix misalignment if you are already in a relationship? The good news is this. Many relationships can be realigned if both people are willing. The first step is ownership. You must be willing to ask yourself hard questions without defensiveness. Not what is wrong with my partner, but what am I tolerating, avoiding, or enabling? The second step is clarity. You cannot fix what you cannot name. Have explicit conversations about values, expectations, and non-negotiables. These conversations will feel uncomfortable if you have avoided them in the past. That discomfort is temporary. Avoidance is permanent. The third step is behavior alignment. Words do not realign relationships. Behavior does. If something matters, it must show up in action consistently. The fourth step is boundaries. Boundaries are not ultimatums. They are clarity around what you will and will not accept. Boundaries protect the relationship by protecting the individuals inside it. The fifth step is patience paired with accountability. Change takes time, but effort should be immediate. If effort is absent, patience becomes self-betrayal. What healthy repair looks like? Healthy repair includes listening without interrupting, acknowledging impact, even if intent was different, and making adjustments without resentment. It does not include dismissing concerns, minimizing feelings, or keeping score. Repair requires emotional maturity from both sides. One person cannot carry it alone. When realignment is not possible, not every relationship can or should be saved. If values are fundamentally opposed, no amount of communication will bridge that gap. If one person refuses accountability, growth stalls. If respect is missing, Love cannot compensate. Ending a misaligned relationship is not failure. It is self-respect. What to look for when starting a new relationship. If you are looking for a new relationship, attraction should open the door, not define the house. Pay attention to how someone handles discomfort. Do they avoid hard conversations or engage them with maturity? Watch how they manage stress. Pressure reveals values more clearly than pleasure. Observe their relationship with responsibility. Do they follow through on what they say? Do they take ownership when things go wrong? Listen to how they speak about past relationships. Accountability matters more than blame. Notice how they communicate when they are not getting their way. That is who they really are. Alignment questions worth asking early. What does effort mean to you in a relationship? How do you handle conflict? What does growth look like for you? How do you define loyalty? What role does communication play in your life? These questions are not interrogations. They are filters. If someone resists them, that tells you something. The role of emotional maturity. Emotional maturity is the ability to regulate emotions, communicate clearly, and prioritize long-term outcomes over short-term comfort. Many adults are emotionally underdeveloped because they were never taught these skills. That is not a character flaw, but it is a responsibility. Relationships don't require perfection. They require awareness and willingness. Why alignment creates peace. Aligned relationships feel calmer. Not because there are no problems, but because problems are addressed early and directly. Aligned partners do not keep score. They collaborate. They do not weaponize silence or words. They seek understanding. They do not fear honesty. They depend on it. Final thoughts. Most relationship problems are not mysteries. They are patterns that go unaddressed. Misalignment combined with poor communication quietly erodes connection. Awareness, clarity, and courage restore it. Love alone is not enough. Alignment makes love sustainable. Whether you are repairing a relationship or choosing a new one, the goal is the same. Choose clarity over comfort. Choose honesty over avoidance. Choose alignment over illusion. That is how relationships stop surviving and start thriving. Check us out on Instagram and Twitter, JeroldDJAX. On Facebook, Gerald Action Jackson and Zone of Action. Check out the website, GeraldJackson.com. Happiness starts with you, not with your relationship, not with your job, not with your money, but with you in the zone of action.